Okay, you got my number.
Okay, guys. So
All right,
here
excellent.
we are.
Thank you.
So we discussed at great length. I'm the Lord your God who took you out of Egypt, and relating to God. Something very interesting comes up in this commandment, and that is
No sound.
No sound. We didn't hear you.
oh, why not?
Rabbi, you gone.
Hello, hello, can you hear me?
That's better. That's better. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, introduction. Yeah, so is my screen still safe? Shared?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. I'm the Lord your God. Who has inflicted this upon us? Who has made us Jews different from all other people? Who has allowed us to suffer so terribly until now? It is God that has made us. Wait, hang on a second. We did this. It's not where I want to be. Oh, yeah. Introduction, a call to kindness. In this debate, God describes himself as the God who took you out of Egypt, rather than the God who created you. The exodus from Egypt as an act of chesed, kindness, is central to our concept of a merciful God. When the Jewish people came out of Egypt, they heard a call to emulate God in this way. So this is very interesting, I think, from 2 points of view. One is that we are not used to thinking about God in real terms. We think about God in philosophical, in theological terms, but real terms means, it's seeing God's kindness in your life and saying to yourself, just like God is kind, I should be kind. That's one thing. The other thing is that the Diber itself, I am the Lord your God who took you out of Egypt, is a statement that we are meant to resonate with. We are meant to understand as a call to kindness. There have been a lot of efforts to put the 613 mitzvot into the 10 commandments. It's based on the Gemara, the idea of 613 mitzvot, and it's amazing. Most of the, these we're talking about great rabbis throughout the generations that try to do this, really found the mitzvahs of chesed, the mitzvahs of kindness, the mitzvahs of tzedakah, of charity, of taking care of people. They put them in this commandment, in this, I'm the Lord your God who took you out of Egypt. So let's try explore it a little to see how it comes out. So it's very interesting. When the Jewish people come out of Egypt and they're crossing the sea, as part of the song, they say, Ve Keli va'anvehu. This is my God, and I will be like him. Ani, this word, anvehu, can be understood as ani vehu, right? I and him. Meaning that we should have this relationship. Me and God, we're buddies, right? I am like God. Abba Shaul said, the Gemara says, Va'anvehu, become similar to him, just as he is gracious and merciful, so do you be gracious and merciful. Okay, says the Talmud. Well, what does it mean to understand God in real terms and be like him? So the Talmud says like this: just as he clothes the naked, as it is written, and the Lord God made Adam and his wife cloaks of leather, and he clothes them, so too clothe the naked. We should be occupied with that. The Holy One, blessed be his, visited the sick, as it's written, and he appeared in Elone Mamre, while Abraham was in pain after the bris milah, so too visit the sick. The Holy One, blessed be, comforted mourners, as it's written, and after the death of Abraham, God blessed his son Isaac, so too comfort mourners. The Holy One, blessed be, buried the dead, as it said, and he buried in Moses in the valley, so too you shall bury the dead. The calling in the Pirkei Avot, the calling to emulate God does not stop at being gracious and merciful. We're meant to be like God in the attribute of strict justice by being rigid with ourselves rather than others. Right? Ben Azai says, who is Ezer Gibor, who is mighty, who's tough and rigid? He who conquers his own impulses. As it says, slowness to anger is better than a tough and rigid person, and the ruler of his spirit than a conqueror of a city. Right? As we know in the Hebrew, Toiv erech apayim megibor u'moshel baruchim loiked ir. So we find ourselves over here with this message that we should be like God. We should be like God to be kind and merciful, and we should be like God to be
understanding
and also strict, strong, right? The gibor, and that's in terms of our own self. So here are the questions. I am the Lord your God who took you out of Egypt is a call for kindness. Why do you think that the concept of chesed, loving kindness, is contained as a core value in the first of the 10 Commandments? It's interesting that it comes up here. Do you think of God as being kind? How does the idea of emulating God through kindness resonate with you? And how do we know when we should emulate God through justice rather than mercy? Any comments?
Wow. That's very tough.
Why?
It's a very tough to make comments at this part of the conversation because it's just starting. I mean, the whole theme is just starting.
Yeah, it's, to me, what is difficult is, and it could be my self-perception. I don't think of myself as someone having a very low self-esteem, but to think of myself in real terms as being godly and seeing God in the world in a real way is quite beyond me. Excuse me.
issue.
Issue.
That to me is the hard bit here. To really, to know myself or believe in myself, I guess, to the degree that I have a living relationship, a normal, almost human relationship with God. I don't know if you guys find that easier or also struggle with that.
Well, I mean, that's really coming from you, who's learned enough and understands enough about Torah and delved into the teachings that has a deeper understanding of the workings of Torah and everything that it behold to it. That's very surprising to hear from you. I mean, from us mere mortals, compared.
Well,
it's
I'm not sure. I don't know if it's a function of learning. Actually, I think there are a lot of people that have learned a lot of Torah. They might be very frum, might be very observant, and yet don't have this real relationship with God. God is the giver of the Torah. God is the creator of the world. Very nice, but those are very abstract. God as real means, that the coffee I have that I'm drinking it's not
Yeah.
just that I'm obligated to say a bracha before I drink it. It's that I'm drinking it's God's coffee that I'm drinking. It's a gift from God to our world and for me to be able to live with it.
But can I say something?
Yes,
Rabbi?
please.
But then you say, and you think to yourself, God is everything that happens. God does. He designs everything. Everything's designed by Him, right? This world. You're supposed to say that. You're supposed to say that He designed, but then He does something and it doesn't happen. You say, why does God do that to you? Why does He smite you with that sort of thing? And then you say, well, it's His will. But then it's weird. It's like, why? Then you say, but then how can I love a God who does these things to me? Or that's the correct way, His way of getting you out of that trouble, maybe. I don't know. That's what gets me. That's what I don't understand. That's my interpretation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I very much know what you mean. It's hard,
Yes.
to
Except, that's it. It's not for me, it's God's will. That's it. His will is such and such, and that's what you must obey. But that's the hard part.
right. To see the challenges of life. That was really
Yes.
last discussion, to
Yes.
just get your head around the challenges of life and accept them.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. But saying that, Barry, I think a lot of the time we actually aren't even awake to see the blessings
Yes.
that we have. You have
That's
a big struggle.
Yeah, sure.
Don't have employment. You don't have good relationships. And they fixate that. We become fixated.
Then they say to you, if you ask the question, why does He do that? He's testing you. Testing you for what? He's testing me for what? For the next world? I don't know what He's testing me for. I don't know what He's testing me for. That's it, eh?
Maybe.
So sometimes you say, all right, there is a God, and then sometimes say, but why does He do these terrible things? You know what I mean? Like sort of, if He does everything and He says that will give you what you need. He does everything. He controls your life in that sort of a sense. You know what I mean? And then why does He do that? He's supposed to be a good God, and why would He do that? That's what I mean.
Yeah, it might. You're not going to get in life what you want most of the time. You're going to get what you need.
Yes, I know, but then you say to yourself, but
how come? Yeah, of course.
Yes.
I think all of us, it's an individual thing, is really making peace with God.
Yes. And then they according to the rabbis, you can communicate with God. I don't know how. How do you communicate with God? I don't know.
What do you mean? You pray?
Yes, I know, but it still doesn't help me. I still don't communicate verbally. Let's put it this way.
Have you tried?
Yes. Oh, yes. I've tried plenty of times.
And
well, I don't I can't I don't actually hear His voice. Let's put it this way.
Oh, you want to hear God's voice?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think we can. I think we have to be very sensitive to hearing God's voice through the life that we lead.
Yes, I mean, you know what I mean? That even communicate with me and say, that often when something happens, and like...
Barry, God spoke to me last night, and He told me that he's very happy with you.
Thank you, that's very nice. But like, I nearly had an accident one day.
Reassuring?
What I find is that He does too. The miracles are every day. There are miracles happen every day.
Right.
And if you see a miracle, I always say, thank you, God, for saving me, whatever. That's what I mean.
Okay, good, great.
Sorry, do you think that God is looking down at the world today, this Thursday, and saying, what a mess it is? And I mean, look how everybody's having to live. We've got riots right on our doorstep in Los Angeles. It's been quite terrible, and curfews and we're not allowed to go out. Do you think God is actually saying this is a right way to live?
Well, I think He's laughing because it's riots in Los Angeles and peace in Baltimore, and not the other way around.
Well, that's not funny. But also, and the viruses, and now today on
I think God gives, mankind a lot of free will. And there's not punishment to our actions, but there's consequence.
Yeah.
And we are living, to a large degree, we are living with the consequences of our own decisions. I mean, it could even be that this virus is a man-made in a way, right? That because of these wet markets and the way that over there in China treat the animals, it could be brought about through that, and then it's brought about through the way that we travel and communicate, etc., etc. So,
you really believe this?
Yes. Why not? And there's obviously a calling. But let's try get back into what we have over here, more on the positive side, the chesed, the kindness, which is always really available to us, right? We're all able to do chesed, to reach out to others, to show up, to care about, to be in touch. I mean, now's a great time to just be in touch with people and say, how are you doing? Everyone loves it.
Sure. I'll be doing it. Sure.
Okay. Let's see the next section here. Okay. Besides the benefit to society, through chesed we extend beyond ourselves. This Rabbi Yitzchak Hutner called the first step on the path to spirituality, getting out of your own little Daled Amis, as they say. Let us explore the personality and sensitivity of the Baal Chesed, the kind person. So a potential convert dared Hillel to teach him the entire Torah while he, the convert, stood on one foot. Hillel answered, that which is hateful to you, do not do to another. That is the entire Torah, and the rest is its interpretation. Go study. Source 2, and this is not a Torah source. In 2009, the age of 27, Australian Sebastian Terry realized that, like most people, he had not achieved anything on his long-forgotten list. The death of a close friend, combined with a naturally abstract view on life, sparked a moment of clarity. Sebastian decided to create a list of 100 things, his goal to check off everything. It's the start of a crazy, no-holds-barred adventure that took him to the ends of the earth on a quest to prove that anything is possible. So when he got to number 26, which, by the way, is the numerical value of God's name, HaShem, which is Chesed, help a stranger, changed his life. He wrote on his blog, after seeing me give another interview on TV, Mark contacted me and told me that he too had a bucket list. Seeing that someone was out there checking items off gave him the motivation to readdress his list and asked if I would help him. Now, Mark not only has a list, but also a massive challenge in completing it due to an undiagnosed neurological disorder that he's had for a while. As a result, he is sadly confined to a wheelchair with very limited movement. He told me that it was his dream to complete a half marathon. I asked him how someone in his condition would go about completing a half marathon, to which he replied, I just need someone to push me. Sebastian immediately enrolled them into the Melbourne half marathon and pushed him the whole way. After the race, he wrote the following. On a personal level, I don't think I've ever been involved with something so rewarding. This wasn't about me, it was about Mark. And after the race, he looked at me with a big smile on his face and simply said, that was special. So in what way is helping others more meaningful than doing something for yourself? Who are the kindest people you know? What drives them? Which elements of chesed do you find most meaningful? Which elements of chesed are best performed in your community, society? Which need improvement? And our society is more affluent than any other in past history. Are there specific elements of chesed, kindness, which are less needed or maybe more needed? Any comments?
But we all do our chesed in a different way. some of us.
But Rabbi, I mean, there could be an abundance of people not doing chesed and kindness, and an abundance of people doing chesed and the kindness, and then the great floods, and only one person, Noah, gets saved, or
Well, actually, God said to that generation, because they didn't do kindness, because the word says the world was malei chamas, the world was filled of hatred.
But there must have been a huge amount of people that weren't doing hatred, were doing chesed and kindness.
It doesn't sound like it, Beryl. Actually, sounds like society degenerated a lot, like very low.
Okay, well, I mean, take for instance the Holocaust, or any really traumatic event in history. There must have there must have been, like, there were so many great rabbis and scholars that were killed in the Holocaust. Were they all bad people? I mean, that's just an example.
Right.
There's other. So what I'm saying is a lot, because of so many people, other people get hurt, even if they are doing.
Yes.
I mean, you never know. You never know deep down.
Right. So that's obviously that's a big question.
Yeah.
I think in terms of this, though, I'm not answering your question, but I think in terms of this, the amazing thing is that there are many stories of people in those dire circumstances doing chesed, finding a place for kindness. That almost relates to this last question. Is our society, are we less needy because we have so much? And on the other hand, maybe it's revealed new needs? Adam, you're being very quiet.
No, I'm sorry about that. I'm struggling to follow a little bit, to be honest.
What do you find hard?
And I'm just just in a bit of a weird space. My apologies.
No problem, as the mug on my table says. Okay, let's talk about the integration over here. What does this diber mean to you as a core value? When can it be applied? What are the challenges you will face? How can you overcome them?
My chesed, I phone every day different people just to sort of say to you, are you keeping all right and everything else.
You haven't called me, Barry.
Well, I speak to you twice a week, don't I?
Okay, fine.
So that's exactly the same thing. I phone a lot of my friends, and I phone them all at least once, twice a day, and I phone them just to find out how you're doing, if you're still all right, and what, if I can do anything for you in the lockdown.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's my chesed. I think that's
Beautiful.
a good one as well. Yeah. Important to find people that are all on their own. And
if you think about kind people, what do you think makes them? What makes a kind person?
Thinking from another person.
Yeah, thinking of another person.
Yeah, but what makes one person more kind than another?
Hmm?
What makes them? What motivates them? Why are they kinder than other people?
Because they perhaps like the person they're kind to more so than others do.
It could be, but some people are kind just to other humans. Does it have to do with our own sense of value, self-value, and
What we would
I think it does. I think you're
Yes.
only kind to what you value as what suits you, your mindset. Like I mean, I listen to these guys on talk radio, and it's their view on life that gives them their mental, their what they say
right.
is good and what is not good. But I mean, there's other people that think completely different, and they're just as educated and just as knowledgeable about life, and but their
100%.
outlook,
We all wearing glasses, our own perspective.
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
That's
So
so your kindness lies within your own perspective.
right.
do unto others as you would like done unto yourself.
Yes. Yes.
But I don't even think that completely is correct, because that's your own perspective, how you would like to be treated.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that you're completely correct.
No, isn't it when you care intensely about things?
To love your neighbor like yourself. To love your neighbor like yourself.
Right.
Yeah,
Meaning
but
that you might
that's still
land up, they might want something different to what you want. They might be
Yes.
different.
exactly.
No, but it's
Yeah.
a kindness, and it's an inner
Yes.
feeling, isn't it? It's just a way of saying, if I were treated that way, I'd be all right. But if I were treated the other way,
Right. Or
Then
you have
be
to
kind.
think, for them, what would be the most, the best thing? What would be most appropriate? I think it is important so maybe it's a balance of, thinking what it would be like for you, and then saying, hang on a second, are they different? Some people like surprises, some people don't. Some people like
surprises.
loud things. Some people like, time and doing things. Other people like to be left alone and read a book.
Yeah.
Some people like fast, some people like slow.
Right. So it's important to always consider, and I think that's what Rav Hutner meant, is that, in terms of a spiritual life, to realize, to somewhat get out of your own ego,
Yeah.
Right, that's what Viktor Frankl says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ego.
What does he say?
He says, it talks about the ego, completely being free of your ego, to be able to push through any bad things that are happening to you.
Yeah. Live in the now.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, that's very important now.
To live in the now, right? That's
Yeah, I mean, I think it helps to, have memory, to remember the past and to hope for the future, but to live in the now.
Yeah. Yes, that's what
All
I've
right,
been
friends. Okay, excellent.
Very hard. Very hard. Hey?
Yeah, not easy. Let's stop here. Thank you. Okay, so that's the end. We finished I'm the Lord your God. So then next week we can do the next one, which would be to not have any idols. All right.
Okay.
Have a good Shabbos,
Thank you,
everyone.
Rabbi.